Hi everyone, this is the notes for 54. This is the law of cosines. So go ahead and try this problem on your own to remind yourself what the law of sines is. I'll be looking for that when I grade your notes. And then go ahead and look at this one as well. So try the law of sines. We're going to work on this one specifically, so you should pause your video. Don't write this word pause. If you write it, I'll know that you aren't listening to my voice. But make sure that you pause and do this problem and take a second there, and then try law of sines for this one as well. So I'll take a second here. All right, so the law of sines review. We're trying to find angle B. So I'm trying to find this angle here. So I know that I have, I'm going to try and find angle B. So I have sine B over 8. And that's going to be equal to, and I kind of get stuck here because there's no angle here. So that would be sine A over 4. Which is fine, but it doesn't help me because A doesn't have a pair. And then angle C would be sine C over 6, but that doesn't help me. This is not helpful because there are no pairs. There are no pairs. So we can't really use it. So what we can say is that the law of sines sometimes doesn't work. Sometimes doesn't work. So that can be kind of frustrating if we only have the law of sines. Luckily, there's something called the law of cosines. And the law of cosines says that a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine a. And this can be kind of complicated unless we recognize a pattern, which is that there's A and it's angle A. So these are on the outside. And then we also have a B here and a B here. And then we have a C here and a C here. So we can see that the pattern is A, B, C, B, C, A, with that funky 2 in the middle. So we can recognize this same pattern when we do it a little bit differently. So we could say B squared is equal to A squared plus C squared minus 2AC times cosine B this time. So again, we see the B's go together. One is a side and one is an angle. And we're going to work on those together. And then finally, we have C squared, and that would leaves us with A squared plus B squared minus 2AB times cosine C. We see that C and angle C go together. So we can use any of these. They're all basically the same, but there are 3 of them in case you want A, B, or C. So you can solve for any of your 3 sides. So when do we use it, right? So most of the time we'd want to use law of sines, but if law of sines doesn't work, there's 2 specific cases. The first one is when we have side, angle, side. So that's where we have a side, and then an angle, and then another side attached to it. We sometimes have seen this called SAS in geometry. And then the other option is when we have side, side, side. Side, 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 which is SSS, which is when we have 3 sides and no angles, like we saw in our first problem. So the way that we use this is we would write down our formula. So I want to find side C, which is this one here. So I'm going to start with that, C squared. And then I know that it would be A squared plus B squared minus 2A times B times cosine C. I double check to see that my C's are there, and I have AB, AB. So I check my pattern. It looks good. I'm going to start plugging things in. So C squared, I don't have anything. I have A, which is 12, and it's going to be squared, plus my B, which is 20, and it's squared, and we're minus 2 times A times B times cosine, and then C, whatever C is. We know that C is 40. So my A is 12, my B is 20, and my C is 40. So I can do a lot of these pieces on my calculator. Here, C squared is going to come straight down. I'm going to do this part. 12 squared is 144, plus 20 squared is 400. And then I'm going to put my minus sign, and I'm on my calculator do 2 times 12 times 20 times cosine 40. And that gives me a pretty crazy number, all of this together, 367.701. I can do in my calculator 144 plus 400 minus that answer. And I'm going to get C squared equals 176.298. I need to get C by itself, so I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So I'm going to take my square root on my calculator. I have this button here, and I got C equals 13.277. The next number is a 7, which means that I'm going to round up this one. So I'd have 13.278 as my answer. Right, so that is if I want to find a side. Right, I'm going to use the same formula if I want to find an angle. So when I go here, it says find the largest angle in ABC. So in order to find the largest angle, I have to find the largest side. So go to my longest side here, and I'm trying to go directly across for it. That means I want B. So I'm going to use my B equation. B squared equals A squared plus C squared minus 2AC times cosine big B. Right? I'm going to fill in the things that I know. So I know that B is 40 squared. I know that A is 30 squared. I know that C is 20 squared minus 2 times A, which is 30, times C, which is 20, times cosine B. I don't know what B is. That's my question mark. All right, so I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to simplify what I can. So 1600 equals 30 squared is 900. Plus 20 squared is 400, minus 2 times 30 is 60, times 20 is 100, or 1,200, times cosine B, right? So I'm going to start to move some pieces around. I'm going to take my 900 and move it away. I'm going to take my 400 and move it away as well. Right? So what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. That's going to leave me with 300 equals negative 1200 times cosine B. I know that this is multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide my negative 1200. It's going to leave me with cosine B equals negative 0.25. In order to get rid of my cosine, I need to do the inverse cosine, cosine to the power of negative 1. So I'm going to do my cosine inverse on the other side as well. It's going to cancel my cosines and leave me with just B equals, I'm going to go to my calculator and type the cosine inverse of negative 0.25 equals 104.477. The next number is a 5, so it's going to make this one round up. 104.478 degrees is angle B. And that would be my answer. Okay, so I'm going to use my first example if I want to find a side. I'm going to use my second example if I want to find an angle. Thanks, guys.